Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Nvidia. It is time for another update, and on this chart we are tracking a very bullish interpretation, and honestly I don't believe there is a way you can track this chart in a not bullish way, yeah, because here we have a series of 1-2 setups that have occurred initially, and then another series of 1-2 setups here, and what I'm tracking now in this area could differ from some other interpretations, and it doesn't matter too much in the end if this is the actual wave 3 or if this third wave is actually still ongoing, because in the end we are tracking a similar pattern within this area to the upside. It would only affect how the larger correction that comes afterwards would play out, and not really the pattern that would be going on in this current uptrend. Now, with that said, we are focusing here on this fifth wave to the upside of a very large wave 3, and within this fifth wave there are actually very many ways to be tracking this movement to the upside. And what I am focusing on right now is the idea of an even possible impulse in this area, where I would be tracking this as a series of 1-2 1-2 setups, and then another 1-2 setup here, a third wave up, fourth wave down, and a fifth wave that could be ongoing in this area. Now, whether this third wave top is here or here doesn't matter too much. Again, it's a lot more subjective in this area and it doesn't affect anything at this point. And what we should focus on the most is this fifth wave to the upside right now, which honestly there is a chance it may be complete. We don't need any additional highs to have a full 5-wave structure within this area, because I could easily be considering this as a 1-2, a third wave up, fourth wave down, and then this could be a fifth wave to the upside. However, we have not yet broken any relevant areas of support that could allow us to track direct continuation to the upside in even more than one count, yeah. And what we have been looking for mainly as a larger area of support is a possible extension in another fifth wave to the upside, where yeah, this could be a 1-2, a third wave up, fourth wave down, and then a fifth wave could still come even within the interpretation of a diagonal pattern. Now, if I wanted a more absolute direct continuation area of support for this fifth wave, I could even be looking here for a 1-2 setup. Now, the main difference is the area of support that we would be tracking, and instead of starting at the 23.6% retracement, it would start at the 38.2% retracement, and instead of ending at the 61.8% retracement, it would go all the way down to the 78.6% retracement. So technically, it could allow a correction all the way down to the $112.7 level before a more clear view that this structure to the upside is likely not going to extend, at least not by itself, yeah. In that case, this fifth wave would most likely be complete. And the thing is, even if it is complete, I would not rule out larger extensions that could still take a part of this chart, because honestly, within this area I am tracking here again a double 1-2 1-2 setup. And then if this is a third wave complete, I could be looking here for a wave 4 correction instead. And then I would still be looking for a fifth wave to the upside, and then even another 4-5 could still be possible. So technically there is still a lot of potential on this chart, and just for fun, we can even check the potential area of support that we could be tracking in this area, in this larger correction in the wave 4, and the levels of support would really start the $125 level. In the end, very similar for a possible 1-2 setup of this fifth wave to the upside. And since this is a fifth wave of a larger wave 3 that could be unfolding, honestly, sometimes such wave 5s could extend to significant proportions, yeah. They could end up even longer than the third wave itself, in which case, yeah, this would be a way to play it out. And if it really ended up going all the way deeper into the area of support, it could even touch the larger wave 4 support zone, and we wouldn't necessarily be too surprised to continue from such a pattern. But this isn't to confuse you, this is to point out that there are certain levels of confluence between the $125 level all the way down to the $112 level that would allow us to track continuation to the upside, yeah? Even if we fall deeper here into the area of support or even below this specific interpretation, we shouldn't be surprised, we shouldn't necessarily even expect a very, very big crash on this chart. Now, with this said, it is mostly for context, and what we should focus on at the moment is here on the shorter time frame, where in the previous video we were still looking actually for extensions lower. Yeah, we didn't manage to break here any relevant areas of resistance, and in fact we were looking for a more direct possible completion of this downtrend, and while we did extend directly lower from the area of resistance provided in the previous video, it wasn't at all to a significant proportion. So I cannot really be tracking this count in white too reliably right now, and it is most likely the other interpretation that I gave you, that we should have been watching out for a more general resistance area in orange that seems to be working out more likely, because right now I could easily be considering this an initial 5-wave move to the downside in a leading diagonal in a wave A, meaning that after a correction now in the wave B, which by the way has pushed perfectly into the area of resistance a couple of times already, yeah, we should be very, very prepared for continuation to the downside in a wave C. Now, I couldn't say yet if this correction, this movement in the wave B has already topped and we have started the movement to the downside, but if we did, I could give you an ideal target for the wave C, since yeah, we did fulfill the minimum expectations. We did form a 3-wave pattern into the first level of resistance, and we got rejected. So now we can look for the ideal target for the wave C, and that would be the 100% extension of the wave A around the $148 level. But again, we don't need to get there, and we don't need to stop there in the end. That is just an ideal target that the wave C is generally drawn towards. Now, if you remember in the previous video, we had another interpretation in blue, and I want to mention just briefly, it is still available to us, but I believe it was more confusing to a lot of people than helpful, and I decided that it is best to leave that on the back of our minds and focus here on the green interpretation, or right now the orange scenario more likely, until we get some further structure to determine what type of pattern really is going to play out. And in the previous video, we did also talk about how after forming this 5-wave move to the downside, because even in the previous video we didn't have this low, but we had this one and we had our 5-wave move down, we should be prepared for Nvidia to not necessarily have as much strength going on as the rest of the market, which have formed more reliable 3-wave patterns to the downside and had much more of a chance to actually form a bottom. Yeah, I was heavily pointing out towards the idea of, on the Nvidia chart, forming in this area a lower high, while on other charts maybe even forming a higher high, and that is why I'm not necessarily convinced that this B wave has stopped on many of the other charts on the market in general. We do still have a lot of room into the areas of support to move higher, but right now on the Nvidia chart we have a very corrective structure which has played out in this area, and I wouldn't bet on anything on the long side just yet. Yeah, I wouldn't be focusing on new all-time highs movements, at least not directly. And even though it is possible, we don't have any reliable pattern to track from the current low to a direct continuation to the upside, which is why we are going to focus for now on this wave B, which again could have topped, but I am open to extensions. We could even form here, honestly, a large leading diagonal, and if that is to happen, something like a 1, 2, and then a third wave up, where this would be something like an ABC, and then a fourth wave down, and then a fifth wave up, sure. Then the fifth wave would also be an ABC. We would have an initial wave 1 up, but right now, nothing too reliable, no wave 2 correction to be looked forward to and for a potential entry. All we have is the larger time frame, and right now, this is it. These are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.